So they need 285 to win from 300 balls. That's the first runs of the day for Fleming. Batsmen are coming back for 2. No wicket for 4. That could be a very painful blow.
New Zealand will be looking to blast away from the start with fielding restrictions in place.
Carrick to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Stopped by Giles. Carrick to bowl to Astle. To 281 runs required. Carrick to Astle. That's a lovely way to get off the mark. 280 runs required. 48 overs are left in the innings. Goff to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. It's straight at Flintoff. Astle is now facing. The fielder will cut that off. The batsmen are after 2. Great job done by the fielder in the deep. I think he was easily back in the crease there. It's in the air. Dropped.
Simple catch. He could have taken that in his sleep.
New Zealand no wicket for 8. That's too short, and it's been dispatched for 4. That's the first boundary for Fleming. 47 overs are left for New Zealand.
The one-day fielding restrictions really give attacking batsmen an advantage at the start of the innings.
Now the run rate stands at just over 5.5 and over. Hit straight to a fielder. Astle facing.
Run, go!
Fleming waiting at the striker's end.
Go!
Carrick to Fleming. Played that bouncer with assurance.
Well, he might be a little nervous coming forward to the next delivery.
Carrick to bowl to Fleming. A very good over. Only one offered in the end. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here.
Waiting!
Stopped by Triscothick.
Waiting!
That's racing away to the fence. That's the first boundary for Astor. Goff to Astor. Goff to bowl to Astor.
Yeah.
That takes him into double figures. That's the end of the fifth over. Carrick to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 5.5 and over. Not timed perfectly, but they'll get some runs anyway. Fleming facing. It's in the air. Fleming moves into double figures with those runs. That's straight up in the air. That was really well judged. It went a long way up.
Excellent catch. The batsman can't believe he held on to that.
Fleming goes for 12.
Yeah.
Sinclair is off the mark. Carrick continues. The fielder will cut that off. .44 overs are left in the innings. Goff to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 5.5 and over. The batsman didn't look at all comfortable there.
That was a good piece of bowling. He tried to surprise the batsman by slipping in a Yorker.
Goff at the start of his run-up.
Yes. Yes.
I think he was easily back in the crease there.
Yes.
It's high in the air. Oh, he's dropped it. A very good over. Only one offered in the end. Carrick to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Carrick at the start of his run-up. One now for 28. Sinclair is now facing. I think he was easily back in the crease there. The batsmen will have to run these. The batsmen are coming back for 2. Goff to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. That must be close. The umpire says not out. The fielders were very confident about that one, but to no avail. That's found the gap in the field. Sinclair waiting at the striker's end. New Zealand have taken their total on to 1 for 31. A very good over. Only 2 offered in the end.
It's important for the batting side to not let the run rate rise too much if they're to stay in touch.
Carrick to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. There it goes, and there's a fielder under it.
That went up miles. It had snow on it by the time it came down.
Sinclair has gone for 3. Vincent takes his place at the crease.
He's got nothing to show for some pretty good bowling.
That's the first runs of the day for Vincent. Great job done by the fielder in the deep. Astle is now on strike. Pushed into the gap. That's the end of the 10th over.
New Zealand are not pacing themselves very well here. They will suffer later on unless they keep close to the required run rate.
Goff to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Goff at the start of his run-up. It's high in the air. Astle has now moved into the 20s. Astle is now on strike. Hit straight at Flintoff. It's high in the air, safely pouched by Goff.
That was moving pretty quickly and he did well to cling onto it.
Astle is finally out for 21. Macmillan is off the mark. Picked up by Giles. 39 overs are left for New Zealand.
The batsmen should be looking to score more quickly from now on.
Carrick to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. There it goes. That's the first boundary for Macmillan. Hit straight to a fielder. He looked as if he was home to me. Carrick to bowl to Macmillan. Macmillan facing. Short and smash for 4. That takes him into double figures. 9 runs were picked up from that over by Caddick. Goff to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 6 and over. The 50 is up for New Zealand. He looked as if he was home to me. Goff continues. A very good over. Only 2 off it in the end.
It's important for the batting side to not let the run rate rise too much if they're to stay in touch.
Here comes the first change in the bowling. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. New Zealand move on to 51. Macmillan didn't look comfortable against that short ball.
The batsman's getting a bit of a working over out there.
White to Macmillan.
New Zealand need to score at a faster run rate than this, or they'll struggle later on in the innings.
Goff to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here.
Dirt.
They have 36 overs to get. 2, 3, 4. Goff at the start of his run-up. Excellent bowling by Goff.
If anybody deserves a wicket, then he does. He's beaten him several times now and has got nothing for it.
Goff continues.
Dirt.
Well, that'll beat the fielder. That's the first boundary for Vincent.
Run. No.
Two, 2-9. Runs required. Goff is back in the attack. Hit straight to a fielder.
New Zealand have made a slow start, so they need to pick up the pace if they're to get close to their target.
White to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. He looked as if he was home to me. That's cleared the infield. Vincent moves into double figures with those runs. Confident appeal. Not out. A huge shout, but with no reward. Ooh, that looked quite nasty. The total is now 3 for 62. Vincent is now on strike.
Run. No.
34. Overs are left for New Zealand. We're about to see a change in the bowling. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over.
Go.
Carrick continues. So they need 2-2-3 to win from 200 balls.
Dirt.
He looked as if he was home to me. Stopped by Triscothick. There's a mix-up with the batsman. I think he was easily back in the crease there. A very good over. Only one offered in the end. White to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. White at the start of his run-up. Well played, but the fielder will cut that one off. Carrick sprinting along the boundary. It's in the air. He's timing the ball perfectly today.
He picked that ball up beautifully. The bowler will have to be careful not to put the ball in that area again.
Well taken by Stewart.
Yes.
That's run away for 4. McMillan has moved into the 20s and is starting to look far more relaxed. That's a beautiful shot. He looks in good form out there.
Well, you can't afford to overpitch like that. 2 full and dispatched for 4.
19 runs came from that over by White. The run rate stands at just under 6 and over. There'll be runs here. McMillan facing. Batsmen are coming back for 2, fielded in the deep by Giles. It's in the air. Vincent has now moved into the 20s. Vincent facing. Well, the fielder's not going to cut that off. That square drive was hit with some power.
Well, that was much too short from the bowler. 4 runs.
That's straight up in the air. That went a long way back into the stands.
The bowler won't like that one little bit.
White to begin a new over. The run rate stands at just under 6 and over. He's got it into the gap. That moves the score into 3 figures for New Zealand. Short and smash for 4. That was sweetly timed.
The square drive is a tremendous shot. That was hit with great power. 4 all the way.
White is back in the attack. That's the end of the 20th over. Carrick To begin a new over, the required run rate is around 5.5 and over. They have 30 overs to get, 179. The fielder will cut that off. The batsmen are after 2. Great job done by the fielder in the deep.
Yes. Yes.
Carrick continues.
Yes. Yes. Go.
There's a mix-up with the batsman. The required run rate is around 5.5 and over. Hit straight to a fielder.
Yeah. Go. Run.
He looked as if he was home to me.
Waiting.
Out, he's caught him. McMillan is finally out for 29.
That was a lazy shot. He didn't get over it at all.
Cairns takes guard. Cairns is now on strike.
Go.
28 overs are left in the innings. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here.
Yeah. 'Yes.
He smashed that away. That's the first boundary for Cairns. Carrick is back in the attack. Overpitched and thrashed away. He's timing the ball perfectly today.
He'll be pleased with that one. It came sweetly out of the middle of the bat.
That's 9 off the over now. The bowler really needs to keep it tighter.
Go.
27 overs are left in the innings. White to Cairns. The required run rate is around 5.5 and over. Cairns facing.
Waiting!
Cairns moves into double figures with those runs. The total is now 4 for 126.
Gun go!
White at the start of his run-up. White at the start of his run-up.
Go!
A very good over. Only 2 offered in the end. And we have a change of bowling. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. They have 26 overs to get, 158. The score is now 4 for 127. That's well bowled by... Oh. He looked as if he was home to me.
Go!
The total is now 4 for 128.
White.
That's the halfway mark. 25 overs. White to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. Done him all ends up. That must be close. Umpire raised his finger and he's out. That got right through him. What a great delivery.
Well bowled there. He kept it straight and waited for the batsman to make a mistake.
So then, that's the end of Cairns. Our shot. That's the first boundary for Nevin. Nevin waiting at the striker's end.
Gun go!
White to Niven. That's a fantastic strike. That went a long way back into the stands.
He smashed that a long way. Great to watch for the neutral, but the bowler won't be too happy.
That over cost 10 runs. Goff to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 6 and over.
Waiting! No!
Stopped by Vaughan. Niven waiting at the striker's end. Goff at the start of his run-up. Short and smash for 4. That takes him into double figures. Goff continues. Goff continues.
Yeah.
23 overs are left in the innings. White to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Not timed perfectly, but they'll get some runs anyway. Trescothick reaches it before it crosses the boundary. The fielder will cut that off. There it goes. Smash that right out of the ground.
It doesn't really matter if it goes in the air if you hit it that far.
Foolish running. That's simply throwing wickets away.
Brilliant fielding. That sort of thing can change the course of a match.
Vincent eventually goes for 44. It's in the air and safe. There's a change in the bowling for England. Now the run rate stands at just over 5.5 and over. It's high in the air. It was well held. It was in the air a long time.
That was a bad shot. It really seemed to lose concentration.
Niven goes for 20.
Run! No!
Confident appeal. The umpire's not moving on that one. Well, I felt that that wasn't out. That's the first runs of the day for Harris. Adams is now on strike. Overs are left for New Zealand. White to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. That's straight up in the air. That's the first boundary for Harris. Seven. Now for 158. .127 runs required. He looked as if he was home to me. That's the end of the 30th over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Harris facing. Well played, but the fielder will cut that one off. Collected by Knight. Giles continues. A very good over. Only 2 off it in the end. White to bowl the last of his allotted overs. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Adams is now facing. Oh, that's close. And the umpire's given it. So then, that's the end of Adams. That's the first runs of the day for Vettori. White to bowl to Harris. Harris waiting at the striker's end. It's high in the air. Harris moves into double figures with those runs. 18 overs are left for New Zealand. Giles to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Flintoff reaches it before it crosses the boundary. That's a big hit. It's 6. That was still going up as it cleared the rope.
The bowler doesn't look too happy about it. There might be a little bit more in the next one.
He smashed that away. Harris has moved into the 20s and is starting to look far more relaxed. It's in the air. .107 runs required. It's high in the air. And they were diving for cover in the stand there.
What an effortless shot. Brilliant.
Superb shot. Vettori moves into double figures with those runs. 17 overs are left for New Zealand. There's a change in the bowling with the off-spin of Vaughan. The run rate stands at just under 5.5 and over. Played into the gap.
Right.
Vettori is now facing. Well, it's going to reach the boundary. The crowd were brought to their feet by that shot.
He picked his spot well there, a glorious boundary.
Run.
Stopped by Flintoff. New Zealand move on to 193. .92 runs required.
Waiting.
That's gone high in the air. Out. No. Dropped.
Well, there's a chance gone missing. He couldn't take the catch and it could prove costly.
The score is now 8 for 194. That's straight up in the air. .16 overs are left in the innings. Giles to begin a new over. The required run rate is around 5.5 and over. There it goes. Giles to bowl to Vettori. A shot. Vettori has now moved into the 20s. 8 now for 200. That's gone high in the air.
Waiting.
Oh, that's a really superb shot. Looks in good form out there.
Too short, too wide. Not a great delivery.
Giles continues. There should be some runs here. That's the end of the 35th over. Vaughan to begin a new over. The required run rate is around 5 and over.
Waiting.
Tucked off his legs. Pushed into the gap. So they need 77 to win from 87 balls. pushed into the gap. These two batsmen have taken the 9th wicket partnership on to 50. New Zealand have taken their total on to 8 for 211. That's rolling towards the fence. It should be 4 runs. Vaughan is not impressed.
That was a wonderful shot. He looks in great shape out there.
New Zealand are 8 for 215. Vaughan at the start of his run-up. (14) Overs are left for New Zealand. Giles to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 4.5 and over. Not timed perfectly, but they'll get some runs anyway. Six. They were diving for cover with that one.
That was a super shot. I really didn't think it was too bad a ball.
Vettori is now facing. (63) runs required. Giles to bowl to Vettori. Vaughan to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 4.5 and over. Vaughan continues. New Zealand move on to 2-2-3. Vaughan at the start of his run-up. Well, that'll certainly beat the fielder into the fence. Well, that isn't the place to bowl at this batsman.
That's not the right line to bowl to this batsman. He'll punish anything there.
New Zealand 8 for 227. (57) runs required. Vaughan is back in the attack. Giles to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 4.5 and over. 56 runs required. That's through. Bowl him. Giles has struck here.
Great bowling there, perhaps a bit of extra pace, and it went straight through him.
Harris eventually goes for 37.
That'll give the team a boost. It's always uplifting when the tail-enders make a few runs.
Martin is the next man in. Giles gets his second wicket. New Zealand 9 down now for 229.
Waiting!
Martin facing. Those are the first runs for Martin. The batsmen are looking for 2. A very good over. Only 2 offered in the end. Vaughan to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. New Zealand have taken their total on to 9 for 230. Vaughan to Martin. That's the end of the 40th over. The new batsman comes in at the non-striker's end. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Shot. That is beautifully played. He was onto that in a flash.
That came right out of the meat. Excellent shot.
Giles continues. The fielder will cut that off. The batsmen are looking for 2. Giles at the start of his run-up. Play it away with comfort. The batsman coming back for a second. There's a mix-up with the batsman. Giles continues. Giles at the start of his run-up.
Waiting!
He's got onto that one. That's the first boundary for Martin. 11 runs came from that over for New Zealand. The new batsman won't face for the time being. Now the run rate stands at just over 4.5 and over. He smashed that away. Really struck that well.
That was a good shot. He saw it early and got into position quickly.
That's a good shot. Wasn't a very good delivery.
Everything was in the right place there. It barely raced away to the boundary.
A nice shot, but it won't make it to the boundary. Crowd are giving him a great round of applause as they appreciate the importance of this knock. That's his half century, and it's taken him 36 balls. Hussain out at long off. Super wicket keeping. Vaughan to Martin. Ten runs came from that over by Vaughan. There's a change in the bowling for England. The run rate stands at just under 3.5 and over. Play it away with comfort. Didn't quite get hold of that one properly. Martin facing. A very good over. Only one offered in the end. The new batsman won't face for the time being. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. New Zealand have taken their total on to 9 for 254. He's got it into the gap. Vaughan to Martin. Vaughan to Martin. Six overs are left in the innings. The new batsmen won't face for the time being. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. That's cut behind square. Flintoff to Vettori. Hit straight at Flintoff. 9 for 258. Flintoff continues. Well taken by Stewart. Vettori facing. Short and smash for 4. That was a fantastic back foot shot.
The bowler put that right in his favourite area.
And that's the end of the 45th over. There's a change in the bowling for England. The required run rate has crept up to around 4 and over. Hit straight to a fielder. Giles to Martin. Oh, that's a really superb shot. Martin won't miss anything bowled 2-4.
He really needs to concentrate on line and length right now to keep the runs down.
Well played, but the fielder will cut that one off. Giles to bowl to Martin. Played into the gap. That takes him into double figures. Batsmen are coming back for 2. Trescothick reaches it before it crosses the boundary. The new batsman comes in at the non-striker's end. Now the run rate stands at just over 4 and over. They have 4 overs to get. 17. Flintoff to Vettori. Nicely avoided by Vettori.
The bowler's certainly got the batsman hopping around out there.
Flintoff to Vettori. The score is now 9 for 268. Steered expertly into the gap. The new batsman won't face for the time being. The required run rate has crept up to around 4 and over. They have 3 overs to get 14. Vittori is now on strike. A nice shot, but it won't make it to the boundary. Fielded on the boundary by Caddick. Two overs are left for New Zealand. We're going to see the off-spin of Vaughan. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. 9 for 272. That'll just make it to the boundary. Well, he's seeing it like a beach ball out there now.
That was a good shot. He saw it early and got into position quickly.
Vaughan is back in the attack. New Zealand 9 for 276. Vaughan continues. New Zealand 9 for 277. Vaughan at the start of his run-up. Pushed into the gap. The new batsman won't have to face just yet. Now the run rate stands at just over 6 and over. It's straight at Hussain. So they need 7 to win from 3 balls. Giles is back in the attack. That's straight up in the air. He's timing the ball perfectly today.
He'll have enjoyed that one. It was for the moment it left his bat.
New Zealand require just 3 runs for victory. A cracking stroke. Picked up very early by Vettori.
He needs to work on that line a bit. It was too wide and got what it deserved.
The score is now 9-2-8-6. So to sum up then, New